You're listening to AudioMag, Magazines Canada's podcast. I'm Kylie Pohl, Manager of Member Services and Benefits at Magazines Canada, and I'm here today speaking with Julene Chung, the founder and publisher of the magazine Curated Life. Julene is here to speak with us about how to use events to help grow both the magazine's readership and its relationship with sponsors while maintaining your brand's integrity. Some of you might remember Julene from Magazines Canada's Showcasing Success events. Curated Life magazine is Canada's first empowering lifestyle magazine written for and by millennial women entrepreneurs. Over the last 4 years, the magazine's signature masterclass series has provided a way for the magazine to engage with readers and sponsors. Welcome, Julene. We're so happy to have you here with us today. Thanks again for taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
To get started, why don't you let people know a little bit about Curated Life and the type of events that you do?
So, as you mentioned in the introduction, Curated Life magazine is the first empowering lifestyle magazine for millennial women entrepreneurs. And in addition to sharing the stories of women entrepreneurs, we also provide our community with resources through our masterclass series, which is pretty much focused on self-care, confidence, financial literacy, and business planning.
That's really great. Very important, I think, too. What made you decide to combine a magazine with events?
So back then it was a bit of a unique concept because when I came into the industry, I didn't have any background in publishing. I didn't have any capital or connections. So what I did was have experience planning events, and it really came to using the skills that I have to get started. So the events really helped us with, one, building an audience for our magazine, two, building connections with sponsors, whether it be local businesses or national brands, and third, it helped us get content for our magazine. So a lot of the times we feature the speakers from our masterclass series in the print magazine as well.
Great. So can you offer some tips for small magazines wanting to run events on how to get volunteers, find the right venue space, etc.?
I think for magazines looking to start events, the first examples that they're looking at is like the Business of Fashion or Vogue, who have huge advertising and sponsorship budgets to pull some really exciting events off. But really doing something on a smaller scale is possible, and it's possible to do it for less. For me, when I first started out, we weren't able to get those national brands as sponsors, but what we did do was go to local businesses who really didn't really have the budget to give us cash, but what they did give us in terms of in-kind donations, whether it be food or items that we can put in our gift bag, really helped us build our brand experience at the events. And from there, I kind of basically just hustled and looked at unique places that we could host events. For example, you might want to try a photo gallery or a smaller space that you can kind of have access to and recreate your own magazine experience there for your readers. And for volunteers, I really just asked my friends, my family. My grandma was our shipping and receiving for quite a while. So basically use what you have and don't be afraid to be creative.
That's cool. I don't think my grandma would agree, but make it work.
She really got excited seeing like boxes come in and wondering what's in this box, what was in that box, and then she loves perfume samples, so a couple of times we had extras, and her seniors club like really loved it.
Oh, so you're just helping her be super popular at her seniors club?
Pretty much.
That's great. And how do you decide which brands to pursue? How do you find them? Are there specific things that you're looking for, or an ethos or a mandate that this brand has?
So the ethos of our magazine is really to empower women and women entrepreneurs. So taking that into our approach to sponsors, we really look for sponsors who have that same mission. So for example, one of our first gift bag sponsors was Pure Botanicals, which is a Canadian-owned clean beauty brand that is founded by a woman. So by having her contribute to our gift bags, we were able to introduce our readers and people who might come across photos of the gift bags online with her brand. So that was something that really important to us. Also, if it's not a woman-owned company, we try to look for local companies that I actually like and enjoy supporting. I'm very maybe it's a little bit selfish, but I like to partner with brands that I actually like. So extending that to the magazine, really, I don't want to have just like any brand partner with us just because. I really want there to be a meaning behind it. So that's kind of our criteria. For me, if you're looking to partner with a brand and it feels icky, it doesn't feel like the right fit, don't do it. Because more valuable than having a sponsor is keeping the integrity of your brand, especially with your readership, because that's what's going to build trust and have them keep coming to your events and keep reading your magazine.
No, I think that's really important, and I think that's a good test of if you would use it, then you should probably include it. And I think that's probably part of your success is that it means something to you, these brands that you're working with.
Thanks. It's true.
And do you have any tips for pitching your event to these brands?
I think communication is key. The way you approach them from the very beginning is important. So most of the time I'm doing this through email. So I have a template request email that I use, but I do customize it for each brand. So I'll look at their own vision and mission and basically in that letter explain to them why we're aligned. And what I can offer them. Because I think oftentimes when people think of sponsorship, they're thinking of what can I get for myself and not necessarily what they can offer their sponsor. That's why I kind of like the word partnership a bit better because that's exactly what it is. You need to be able to bring something of value to the sponsor as well as what they're giving to you. And also something that I'm probably not always the best on, but keep communication with your sponsor after the event as well. Whether it be sending them video or a photo of the event, tagging them on posts from the event, just so that so that you're building trust and that they know that you've used the sponsorship items or money the way that you said you were going to. And that helps also it also helps to build a long-term relationship with the brand.
Oh, cool. And what's something you wish you knew when you started out?
I think the biggest thing that I'm just starting to realize as we're getting bigger is when asking for monetary sponsorship, I always just looked at the cost of running the event and I never really incorporated my time. So that's something that I'm learning to do for 2020. But it's really important because if you especially because for our magazines, like we have a really small team, so you have to incorporate that cost as well.
And that makes sense. Your time is money, as they say.
True.
And are you willing to share some mistakes that you made in early days that you'd caution others for making?
I think the biggest thing would be not to give away your secret sauce. And when I say that, I mean, if you have a great idea and you've put it into a proposal for a sponsor, ideally you can have a face-to-face meeting with the sponsor and show them everything up front. But I wouldn't send the proposal to them, the full detailed proposal to them, until you have at least some indication that they're on board. Because I've had instances where I sent an idea to a brand and they said that they weren't able to participate, and then weeks later I've seen them execute the idea that I pitched to them without us. So I think either making sure that they're on board before you give them too many details of your plan or having them sign an NDA if you want to get real serious before you hand anything over, because that is your plans and your ideas, that's your intellectual property and you have to do the work to protect it.
No, I think that's really important. How do you go about pushing back from these brands if they want more details and you need the agreement first?
Well, for me, I think I give them enough information to let them know that we know what we're doing. And most of them are okay with that. If when it comes time to like the nitty gritty, at that point they're pretty much all on board. So I think doing that, giving them the information in stages has really helped me have like a gateway. So at least I know, okay, they're on our side, kind of, before we go forward with giving them more information.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, and have you found it's easier with practice?
I think it's easier with practice. And again, like I think I alluded to in the beginning, it's all about relationship building. And once you build that relationship with your partner/sponsor, it makes the conversation a bit easier to have.
At the end of the day, they're just people too, right?
Exactly.
All right, we're just going to take a quick break and then we'll hear more about pitching your events from Julene.
Just a reminder, registration is open for Magnet, Canada's magazine conference. Find out more and register online at magnet.magazinescanada.ca. The link will also be in the show notes. Do you have an interesting magazine topic you'd like to hear about? Email us at info@magazinescanada.ca.
I know that you have so much on your plate. You work and you have this amazing magazine. How specific do you make these pitches to these advertisers and sponsors?
I get quite specific only because a lot of the people that we've approached to, they're brands that I've liked and followed for a long time. So I get a feel for what initiatives they would support and kind of incorporate that into our proposals. And like I said, I think that kind of goes to having the brand alignment from the very beginning because it makes that process a lot easier in the end. I don't try to partner with someone that's completely, I don't know what example to give, but completely off base of what we do, because then bridging the gap of information and letting them know how it's going to fit is a bit steeper hill to climb at that point.
Right.
But when you're aligned and you're kind of going the same stream, you can canoe or paddle, whatever, in the same boat. No
so
problem.
you wouldn't, do school supplies because that's not really something that goes with your brand. That's a terrible example.
Grandin Toy, if you're listening, we're looking for sponsors. For example, I wouldn't reach out to a home improvement store because it's not really so much aligned with what we're doing just yet. Maybe if we have a master class on how to renovate your home, then we can make it work. But for now, we're kind of staying along the same stream of women's empowerment or brands that help startups or small businesses grow.
That makes sense, and keeping it, as you say, in the same stream. Do you find it easier to prepare materials in advance when you're having these conversations, like a traditional magazine media kit, or do you just kind of base it off the interaction that you're having with this person? Say it was a new brand that you hadn't worked with before.
Yeah. So definitely, staying ahead is staying ahead. I kind of prepare templates for pretty much everything, and we do our master classes quite frequently. We do them bi-monthly, so it's really imperative that I be very efficient and save time. So we have, like I mentioned, templates, everything from a email template all the way to an Instagram story, so that everything along the sponsorship journey, whether it be our sponsorship agreements, they're all there. So once I have the brand, I know what my ask is, I can just plug everything in and approach them with it.
Do you give them any information about your members to help sell them on your event or on your magazine?
Yep, data is really important. So I guess a bit of advice I would give anyone, when you have your event registration form, if you can gather as much data from your attendees as possible at that point, that's perfect. If you can grab their Instagram handle, you can add Eventbrite allows you to add a few questions in there, for example, just to kind of give yourself an idea of who your audience is. And that's something your sponsors are obviously going to ask you, especially for demographics, psychographics now they're asking. They might ask, like, what brands your customers might be aligned with. So it's really great to have that all on hand and ready to hand over whenever they ask.
Oh, cool. And what do you see as the future for independent magazines and events such as Curated Life?
Well, as we all know, like, the magazine industry has been very disrupted over the last few years with the onset of digital media. But in that disruption, I think you can find opportunity, and I'm finding that a lot of magazines are now more independent, niche magazines. If you follow Mag Culture, for example, he often will highlight indie magazines that are doing really unique things. And I think that's where the future is with magazines, because just in the world in general, everything is going down to personalization. So smaller magazines seem to be outperforming the larger titles in a sense of connecting to readers and having longevity.
I think building a sense of community is much easier when it's really specific,
Yes.
like Curated Life. And, we all live in big cities and need that sense of community, or maybe I'm projecting, but...
Well, yes, scale is everything. So for our master classes, we could have went bigger, but we keep them scaled to 20 each class, just because I want to make sure that everyone there is able to connect with each other and actually leave feeling like they've learned something. Not like I don't want it too large where they feel like they're in a lecture or an auditorium and they're not paying attention, or they're finding it hard to talk to people or make connections. So don't be afraid to stay small.
That's really great. So where can people find out more about Curated Life and your events?
Well, we post everything first on Instagram, so you can follow us at Curated Life CA. And we are also on Eventbrite if you find us there, and you can follow us through there. Our website is curatedlife.ca. And you can also download our magazine for free. So we have 4 issues there that you can browse through, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Stay tuned for the next one.
Yes, next one coming soon.
Great. Well, thanks so much to Julene for coming today to speak with us about her experience with events. This has been really amazing. Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review AudioMag on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Follow Magazines Canada on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Mags Canada, and on LinkedIn as Magazines Canada for more magazine news and resources. Thanks so much to Julene for coming today to speak with us. This has been really great, and I'm sure our listeners really learned something.
Thank you for having me.
A new episode of AudioMag will return on December 11th.
AudioMag is a Magazines Canada podcast produced by Messenger Bag Media. Magazines Canada recognizes the funding of the Canadian Department of Heritage through the Canada Periodical Fund.